remember the night vividly, the chilling wind howling outside as if mourning for the lost. It was the night my life changed forever. The night my sister, Emily, vanished without a trace. I was just a child then, but the memory of her empty bed and the police lights flashing through the darkness are etched into my mind. 15 years have passed since that fateful night, and the world has moved on, but not my parents. They've become shells of their former selves, haunted by the ghost of their missing child. I've often caught them whispering in hushed tones, guilt painting their features in shades of sorrow I couldn't understand. Then, one rainy evening, as we were sitting down for dinner, the phone rang. The shrill sound cut through the silence like a knife, and I saw my parents exchange a look of sheer terror. I reached for the phone, but my father's hand shot out, stopping me. "I'll get it," he said, his voice barely a whisper. He answered the call, and I watched as the color drained from his face. "Who is it?" I asked, but he didn't respond. Instead, he handed me the phone, his hand trembling. "It's for you," he said, and I could hear the fear in his voice. I took the phone, pressing it against my ear. "Hello?" I said tentatively. "Hi, it's me, Emily," the voice on the other end replied. It was a woman's voice, mature and calm, yet unmistakably Emily's. My heart skipped a beat. "I know you must be confused, but I don't have much time. I'm calling from the future." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Time travel? It was impossible. Yet here I was, listening to my sister who had been missing for over a decade. "How is this happening?" I asked, my voice shaking. "I can't explain everything right now, but I need you to listen carefully," she said urgently. "Our parents, they're not who you think they are. That night, the night I disappeared, they did something terrible." A cold shiver ran down my spine as the implications of her words began to sink in. "What are you saying, Emily?" I whispered. "They killed me, or at least they thought they did. But I survived, and I've been hiding all these years, trying to find a way to fix things." I was stunned into silence, my mind racing. The pieces of the puzzle were falling into place. The strange behavior of my parents, the guilt that seemed to consume them. They had killed their own daughter, and now she was calling from the future? "Emily, I don't understand. Why are you calling now?" I managed to say. "Because I've found a way to come back, to change what happened. But I need your help," she said. "You have to trust me." The line went dead, leaving me with a dial tone and a heart pounding with fear and confusion. I turned to face my parents, their faces pale and eyes wide with shock. They knew. They had always known. And now, so did I. The revelation hit me like a freight train, and the silence that followed was deafening. My parents sat frozen, their expressions a mix of fear and regret. I had to know more, to understand the truth behind Emily's disappearance and her unbelievable call from the future. "Mom, Dad, is it true?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Did you hurt Emily?" My mother's eyes filled with tears, and my father's face crumpled with guilt. "We never meant to," he began, his voice breaking. "It was an accident. We were arguing, and she got in the way." I felt sick to my stomach. The people I had trusted my entire life, the ones who raised me, were murderers. How could I reconcile the loving parents I knew with the heinous act they confessed to? "We thought she was gone," my mother sobbed. We panicked and we hid her body. We've been living with this guilt every day since. But she's alive, I said, the words tasting bitter in my mouth. She survived, and she's found a way to come back. My parents looked at each other, a silent conversation passing between them. It was clear they were terrified of the possibility of Emily returning, but I couldn't share their fear. Emily was my sister, and if there was a chance to bring her back, to right the wrongs of the past, I had to take it. The next few days were a blur. I researched everything I could about time travel, desperate for answers. I scoured the internet, read books, and even reached out to supposed experts on the subject. But nothing came close to explaining how Emily could have made that call. Then, one night, as I lay in bed, my phone rang. It was Emily's number. I answered immediately, my heart racing. "Emily, is that you?" I asked. "Yes, it's me," she replied. "I don't have much time. They're coming for me." "Who's coming for you?" I asked, confused and scared. "The people who want to stop me from changing the past. They know what I'm trying to do, and they'll do anything to prevent it." I sat up, adrenaline coursing through my veins. "What can I do? How can I help you?" "There's a device, a time machine, hidden in our old house. You need to find it and activate it. It's the only way to save me and fix everything." I knew what I had to do. The next morning, I went to our old house, now abandoned and decrepit. I searched every inch of it until I found the device, just as Emily described. It was old and covered in dust, but when I touched it, it hummed to life. The machine was complex, with dials and buttons that made no sense to me. But Emily had given me instructions, and I followed them to the letter. I set the date to the night she disappeared and braced myself. The world around me started to spin, and a bright light enveloped me. When it cleared, I was standing in my childhood home, but everything was different. It was the past, and I could hear the argument that would lead to Emily's supposed death. I had to act fast. I found Emily hiding in her room, scared and confused. I explained everything to her, and together, we confronted our parents. The shock on their faces was indescribable when they saw two Emilys standing before them. With the truth out in the open, we worked together to change the course of that night. No arguments, no accidents, just a family united by a love that had been tested by time itself. As the timeline corrected itself, I felt the pull of my own time calling me back. I said my goodbyes, knowing that when I returned, everything would be different. And it was. I came back to a world where Emily had never disappeared, where my parents were whole, and the dark cloud of that night had been lifted. We were a family again, and the future was bright. But somewhere, deep down, I knew that the past was never really gone. It lived on in us, a reminder of the fragility of life and the power of forgiveness. And as for the time machine, it disappeared. Its purpose served. But the memory of the time-traveling call that saved us all would linger forever. If you like my video, don't forget to subscribe and like, so that you will inform when my next video is uploaded.